If you're old enough to remember the dinosaurs, should you be starting your own photography business? Well, as someone in their mid-40s, which I think puts me somewhere in the mid-Jurassic period, I asked myself this very same question, and I decided that age seemed to be a really silly reason not to start. I did, however, realise that there are some things that us 40-somethings need to consider that the 20-somethings don't. So let's chat about those today. Okay, so let's start by flipping the script from should we to what if? Because reframing a question can give you way more insights than a simple yes and no. So let's change it to what kind of business do you want to create? Or do you just want to do it as a hobby? Today we're going to go through 6 of what I think are the main things that you should be considering if you're going into this over 40. And I don't want you to think, oh, this is just for 40-year-olds. No, this is for anybody that's wanting to get into a photography business as a second life, like as a second career. Even if you're somebody that's coming up to retirement age and you're like, oh, the idea of sitting around doing nothing would drive me nuts. Maybe I could start doing some photography. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that there were genuine problems and perks of coming into this industry at a later age. But none of this has to be overwhelming, it's just stuff to consider. So let's go through them and then at the end try and pull it all together and see how that might look for you. Now I've seen more memes and I've heard more jokes about turning 40 and then you just wake up and everything starts falling apart. And I'd like to weigh in on that and say I think that's fairly accurate. But should we let that stop us? No, not really, but there are a couple of things that I think we could take into consideration. A couple of years ago, we were standing in an electronics store and I was both excited and nervous when we were ordering my Canon 5D Mark IV and the 24-70 L series lens. Now I'm being really specific about the model of this for a reason, and it was exactly what I dreamed it would be and I absolutely love it. But it's heavy on my wrists and my wrists aren't as strong as they used to be. And doing a full day wedding shoot where I'm actually holding it up a lot of the day, I can guarantee you that the next day my wrists will be telling me about it. And one of the ladies at my local camera club, she's probably early 50s, she actually just changed to mirrorless because of this. And the weight difference is actually huge. So while I'm gonna stick with my heavier 5D DSLR, because I'm stubborn that way, if you're in the situation to decide between a traditional mechanical DSLR or a mirrorless, consider the weight on your wrists, around your neck if you have it on a strap, or even in a backpack, because it actually might make more of a difference than you'll realize. Or maybe just invest in a really good tripod or a monopod to take off some of that weight if you already have some of that gear. And while we're on the subject of health, I'm not just talking about you. This could be your husband or your wife that needs more flexibility because of their health reasons. You might need more flexibility in your schedule. You might have aging parents that you're looking after and things like that. So choosing the niche of your photography might actually be really impactful. So let's say, for example, that you want to do wedding photography, but it's not really practical around dealing with young children and the schedule that you've got. You could consider elopement photography, for example, that might just be for a couple of hours rather than a whole day. Or engagement sessions, or what about doing like anniversary shoots for people? You could find a really beautiful location and organize a bouquet for it, and you could make it a really special moment to re-celebrate that couple. The great thing about this is that it's your business. You get to choose what this looks like for you. I mean, you could choose to only work locally, which might mean that you don't have as many customers as you'd like, but again, this is your business. You can build it any way you want to. Maybe you can only work during school hours. Maybe something like real estate photography might be a good fit for you. Maybe you become the photographer to call for local real estate agents. Or maybe you're looking at retirement and you're like, I really don't want to have clients planned months in advance. Like that's not where I'm at in my life right now. Maybe you could get into doing, say, stock photography and building up a really large portfolio now that you've got extra time on your hands. Or you could sell prints online or prints at your local market, for example. Or you could put together like a photography book. You get the point, but I think it's completely impractical to take on something that might be an 80-hour work week where we're working 30 weekends a year doing wedding photography, which is more than full-time at our age. You know, I'm mid-40s, I'm caught between having one under 10, a couple of teenagers, and also we're looking after my mother-in-law. And I don't have a million tons of energy. So things are a little bit slower for me, and I'm okay with that. My definition of success doesn't have to be everybody else's definition of success. I actually think this works to our advantage. If you're a bit older, you probably have some money saved, or a husband or wife that's working, or you're still working and you're just looking to do this part-time. In other words, you've kind of got all the bits of your life already established. You're probably good at budgeting and saving, and you can buy secondhand. I mean, you could even sell off whatever your last hobby was, like goodbye skiing or something if your knee's gone, and then put your money into photography gear. And you can do this at a bit of a slow burn, like you don't have to throw everything into it all at once. And speaking of money, you can actually price yourself more confidently if you know what you're worth. Like you may be new to photography, for example, but you're not new to working. You're gonna understand things like the administration that has to be done in the background, for example. You're gonna understand what the time away from your family is actually valued at, and what kind of budgets need to be set. And I think once you start pulling all those other skills in, you'll start to see, well, if I was working, I'd be earning at least this much for that part of the job, and you can piece these things together. And that kind of goes well into number 3. I've been in administration and customer services for well over 25 years now, which has given me a really big leg up. I've got design experience, so I've been able to create my own website and do my own marketing materials, etc. And I've got the ability to pull together like reports and presentations and things, which is great for putting together a welcome pack. I've got good research skills, I've got good customer service skills, which makes it easier to talk to people, and being an introvert, that's not always the easiest thing to do, but I have those skills after 25 years of dealing with people. And you probably do too. I actually made a download that goes with another video that I made last year, and that is all about transferable skills that you can bring into your photography business aside from photography. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll make sure that I link that down in the description, and I'll link the video up here somewhere. Also, we tend to sniff out things like burnout a lot faster. Like, we've been through those crazy times in our life already. We're not running into burnout. We're like, no, been there, done that, don't want to do that again. So when we're building our business, I think we're probably more inclined to do something that we know is going to be sustainable. We're learning to do things like pace ourselves and say no to things that don't fit in. And we understand how much time projects can actually take. And going specifically into photography for a minute, I can guarantee that you've learned so much in your life that you can learn about cameras too. So if you're like, sweet Tracy, like cool about all the work experience stuff, but I'm new to photography, you've still proven to yourself that you can learn stuff. This thing about old dogs can't learn new tricks is absolute rubbish in my opinion, and while yes, admittedly it does take me longer to learn things these days, and I have more interruptions, so there have been months where I haven't taken a photograph. So I think it's taken me longer to retain new knowledge because, you know, I'm not a young sponge anymore, but I'm also not dead. So, you know, like longer, not impossible. And while yes, there are some sickening people out there that have just a natural ability and they pick up their iPhone and they take these beautiful pictures, I can guarantee you I'm not one of them. For years I looked at my own work going, what am I not seeing? What are other people seeing that I'm not seeing, and why can't I nail that? And I can tell you this for certain, it was because I just wasn't far along enough. I hadn't taken enough photos, I hadn't had enough experience. When you're starting out, you go, oh, this should be really logical. Like, I should just be able to see this. And that's not always the case. So if you're not there yet, don't beat yourself up. Just know that the more you do it, you will start to develop that sight for what it is that looks good. So don't give up. You know, I'm a really good example that if you just keep putting one foot in front of another, even if you have big gaps, you can still get there. You can still achieve what it is that you're setting out to achieve. It just all takes a little bit longer to tuck nicely into your brain. So don't discount a life of other experiences. You've already proven that you're a good worker and that you can learn anything that you need to. YouTube is full of great resources, and most towns have a local camera club or something, so if you want some more one-on-one time, they are a fantastic place to start. Right, so there's a lot of 20-somethings that would prefer a 20-something photographer to photograph them. And that's fine because they kind of speak a whole different language anyway, and I'm not even going to try and say it because I am not that cool. But on the flip side, there are those of us that are over 40 that would much prefer somebody else that is more comfortable in their own skin. Youth has its advantages, but so does age. We're not as focused on ego, we're more focused on like the customer experience. Plus you've got more life experience to pull from, more ability to tell better stories, understanding from the perspective of looking back 20 years going, I wish I'd photographed that, or I wish I had a photograph of that. Makes for a really different understanding of what's going to be important to somebody. So use age to your advantage. Plus finding somebody that age that loves what they're doing. Like, I thought it would be really, really weird when I first stepped out doing photography. I thought, oh, people aren't going to give me the same kind of chances that they're going to give a teenager because, you know, I'm old, I should know better. But actually I found the exact opposite. I found people going, wow, that's so cool that you finally found something that you're really passionate about. And I actually ended up getting more opportunities from that because people were more open to hiring me because I was really passionate about what I was doing. And I'm not a teenager that's just like dabbling in it and doesn't have any other skills. I'm an adult that's finally found something that I can sink my teeth into, and I really think that people actually pick up on that passion. Now, I know for a lot of people, especially people that are just a little bit older than me, technology can actually be quite daunting. And I say this because I was a teenager when the internet came out and when PCs were becoming a thing. But one thing I notice is that the generation, just one generation above me, a lot of people are really stuck on technology. But don't let that put you off. What I'm saying here is that even if you are struggling with technology, all you need to do is download one editing program and then go and watch the huge amount of stuff that there is on YouTube about that one program, and you will learn it really, really fast. Here's the benefit to what we have now, to what we didn't have when we were teenagers. We have YouTube and we have programs that are available on tap. We can just download them, use them, do it anytime we want to. We don't have to wait for like a night class to be able to learn it. We can go out, download it, and do it immediately. So that's actually that's more of like a timing thing, but we have a massive advantage over people that might have been our age 30 years ago. So just remember, old dogs can learn new tricks. It just takes us a little bit longer, and that's okay because you're going to come into retirement soon anyway, and you're going to have more time to do it. And the last area is time. And while the young ones may have more time to throw at this, I think that there's a benefit in being older because we learn to work smarter, not harder. As soon as you start introducing things like juggling kids, or a sick parent, or a spouse that has other work responsibilities that we have to work around, and we're in a space where wisdom, hopefully, can help guide us a little bit better than our 20-year-old counterparts. Like, photography might be new to you, but you've probably managed a household, had a job, been on the PTA, been on a sports team, run a sports team, coached a sports team, been to work, run a business. Like, there's so many things that you've done in your life that you could absolutely now apply to this photography business. You're probably like a high-level life ninja and you don't even know it. And at our age, we probably have a lot of connections that we can use. Like, if you're on the PTA and you want to do child photography, well, you know all the parents, right? If you've got a friend that works at the council and you want to get into like tourism photography, well, you've got a foot in the door. Like, you know who to speak to find out who to speak to about that. Like, you've got that contact, and even if you don't, you have the skill set to be able to figure out where to go. And I think that's the thing that we overlook as adults. Not all the young kids have the ability to go out and figure out where they need to go to get the information, and we do. So you can use your life experience to cut down time frames that somebody younger might be struggling with because they just don't know where to start. So let's pull all of this together. The older you get, the more time feels valuable. And maybe for you, that means that you're going to write a business plan this week and you're going to launch next week because we don't have time to waste. Or maybe that translates to you that actually takes the pressure off because you're like, sweet, I'm just going to build it around my life and build it slowly and be able to fit everything in nicely. Maybe you don't want to mess around with getting clients, so maybe you'll go sell prints at the market or make a book and sell that online or something like that. And you'll just want it as like side hustle money rather than full-time money. I mean, this is the thing, right? If you're over 40 and you've still got kids at school and you're like, I really want to do wedding photography, but this is completely impractical right now. Like, I cannot fit this into my schedule. You could start by doing family photography or child photography, mini sessions, or anything in between. Like, you could go into any of the kindies or the daycares and go and do photography for them. There's so many things that you could do in the meantime that you can build up those skill sets that when you do finally have that time to launch into doing wedding photography, or maybe you only want to take on like 4 weddings a year because it is quite a lot of time to put into wedding photography. You can do that. I guess the thing here is that when you go, oh, I'm starting a business, there's so many different ideas and ways that you could do this. And you may want a business that is full-time, or you may want a business that is part-time. And that's the beauty of being this bit older, is that we can really make that decision of how and where we want that to fit into our life. And here's another scenario, and this is a real life event that I read about. So I do want to be respectful, but offer a realistic option of what this person could have done. So there's a woman in her 50s, her husband's just become unwell and she's now turned quite quickly into his full-time carer. She has to be there 24 hours, 7 days a week, not because he needs her specifically right beside him, but because if he needs to go to the bathroom or if he needs to be fed or anything like that, he needs somebody there. So basically, she doesn't get any time away, and one of her kids comes over in the weekend, gives her a couple of hours off, and she gets to go down the road and do her errands. And in this particular post, she was saying, I wish I had a way to continue with my photography because I really, really love it, and I just don't see a way through this. And it made me think that with a little bit of rearranging, she could fit some in. So for example, you can do practically everything on the internet now. You can do all of your grocery shopping, you can have it delivered, you could probably even have your prescriptions delivered and things like that. So if she had a 3 or 4 hour period once a week, if she planned out where she was going to go and had a basic shot list, she could even use like Google Earth to go online in times when her husband doesn't need her, or she could be sitting on the laptop right next to him and she could be going on Google Earth and finding places that she might want to take some photos. So then during that 2 to 3 hours, keeping within like 10 to 15 minutes driving time of home, she could have a solid 2 hours to go in and take photos if she knew what it was that she was trying to achieve. And think about it this way, anybody that plans a shoot will be taking quite a lot of time to plan a shoot that may only take 2 hours. So this isn't out of the realm of possibility. Then those photos could become stock photography or photos to put towards a book or prints that she could then sell online. And all of those other things, all of those other parts of that photography can be done at home, could be done on a laptop sitting next to her husband. And so she's getting time with him, he's feeling safe because she's there, she's getting a bit of time to go out and do the things that are going to bring her a little bit of happiness. That 2 hours out of the house is going to be feeding potentially the rest of her week. And on top of that, if she knew local businesses, for example, that needed some product photography, that she could do from like her kitchen. If you have a good window in your kitchen or in the spare room or wherever it is, you don't need a big amount of space just to do some basic product photography. And if they're okay with her taking a week or 2 weeks to do that product photography because she's got to work around her husband, that's another way of being able to do something from home. Those people could drop it off, or once again, she could get somebody to drop it around, a friend could pick it up and drop it around, or when she's got that time off, she knows that she's going to go straight there and pick that stuff up, and that's what she's going to be able to bring home. And I really felt for this woman because I know that she felt really bad that she wanted something for herself, but on the flip side, when you're looking after somebody, you need something for yourself. So you have something to hold on to that just keeps you motivated and challenged. Who am I to tell you that that's not successful? And also, our definition of success, like, it changes as we get older, right? If we get to do something we love that works around our schedule, that helps us to keep growing, maybe that's the success that we need from our lives. So if you want to build a business, you've probably got the skills to do that. Or if you just want to build a side hustle or something that keeps you motivated and keeps you going, that's okay too. In the end, the only thing that makes you too old to get started is your own mindset. It's if you don't try because you think you're too old. Look, I'm not saying go and be selfish and just throw everything away and go and buy yourself a whole bunch of expensive camera equipment. But what I am saying is, why not lean into it? Why not try? Like, if you're 40 something, you're only halfway through your life. If you're 50, then that means you've been working probably for the last 30 years, right? So if you're 50 and you've got another 30 years, let's say we live to about 80, that's a whole nother career that you have the possibility of having. And if you're 60 or 70, how much did you get done between when you were 30 and 40? Like, you probably had kids and had a mortgage and went on holiday and went camping and run the local rugby team or the local baseball team or whatever it was. Like, the amount that you can fit into a decade, think back to your busiest decade and think about how much you fit into that decade. And if you're 70 and you've got a whole nother 10 years left, why would you just sit there and waste it? So even if you're 60 or 70 or 80, there might be another solid 10 years that you could be doing something that brings you joy. Ultimately, it's actually not about your age. It's about building a business that brings you the level of success that you want. Like, you don't need to be hauling gear up a mountain or shooting 30 weddings a year. This is really up to you. And you can build a brand that will resonate with your age and your life stage. You can use your maturity and your experience as a marketing edge. You still have time to create a new legacy if you want to. Like, we're already in the stage of our lives where we can look back and have regrets that we didn't spend enough time with our kids when they were younger, right? That we stayed in a job that we hated for too long. that we didn't buy the bus and travel the country. Like, if we're old enough to have those regrets now, how do you think we're going to feel when we're 80? And I guess that is the real reframe here. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on this and any questions that you have, so let me know those in the comments. But that's me out for another episode. So if you like this episode, if you could please do the like and subscribe thing, that would be amazing, because it does let the YouTube algorithm know that this could be useful for just a few more people, and that is always appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next episode.